I mean, if they don't have the lessons, what can the children do? I mean, what do you mean by that? It's up to the children.
Well, we were taught all the time. We were taught from the start about sex education, about what happens, about relationships.
And it worked?
And for the children that listened, it did work. But it's the way you teach it.
Okay.
A lot of the lessons were very boring, so many didn't listen.
All right, let's talk to Conan from Slough.
Hello there.
Hello, Conan.
Talking about sex education, it's wonderful. It should be in schools everywhere. I agree with that. But a problem of another part of sexual education is that it's not talked about different forms of love and different forms of sexuality regarding homosexuality, lesbians and that.
You think that should also be explained in school?
Definitely, because when I was growing up, I wasn't taught much about sex education at all, regardless what your sexual gender was. There are kids sitting in school who do have these feelings, who know nothing about it, don't know who to talk to, and have no one to talk to. It's not educated in schools.
Well, that it isn't done yet. I think it is done in some schools. John, what do you feel about that?
No, I'm entirely in agreement with the last three callers, actually. I've got nothing to add to any of the things that they've said. I would agree with all of that.
But there is a resistance to sex education in schools. There's a resistance to talking about lesbianism and homosexuality.
I think that's the hang-up of the parents.
Why? But is that... Well, do you agree with that, Conan?
Well, it does deal with parents, but I think it should start in school. I mean, from all along we've been taught man and woman, but there's just nothing about other sides of sexual activity. And I feel if kids are taught this at a young age and explained the whole thing, it would help and control diseases such as AIDS and everything else. There needs to be a good sexual talk on homosexuality and lesbians in schools, definitely. We need to educate our children that there's more than just one form of sexual activities and relationships, definitely.
I think that is coming in some schools. I think probably teachers are responsible. It will come under relationships, it will come under civics, it will do all that kind of thing. I think it's happening, but slowly. And I'm afraid that's all we have time for. We have to stop there. Many thanks to John Peel for being with me today and taking your calls. Do try again tomorrow with more of your views if you didn't manage to get through today, or even if you did. And remember that the lines are open all morning from 9 o'clock. Nikki Campbell will be in this seat, joined by writer and author Brenda Maddox for our mini edition at 9:50. But for now, from John and me, goodbye.
I've been doing magic all my life. I love magic. I love magic that's intimate, but I also love magic that's spectacular.
But we're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy. No, we're never gonna survive unless...
David Copperfield talks to Claudia Schiffer about 15 years of magic tomorrow at 8 on BBC One.
Graham Toombs has a vision.
Time I took charge of my own destiny.
Oh, there's my brave soldier. What are you going to do first?
Resign.
But has he got the right stuff?
No guts and no brains.
John Bird and John Wells in The Chamber, Monday, 8:30, BBC One.
So, what's going for a song today? Join BBC One now for an antique revelation.
Thank you and welcome to Going for a Song, or rather welcome back. If you're my vintage, you won't need telling what this show is all about. But if you've never heard of Arthur Negus, then you ought to know that we look at antiques and mystery objects and guess what they are and how much they would cost to buy. Well, here are the two teams led by Captain Leslie Ash with Paul Carter-Robinson, who has an antique shop in Kensington, and Tony Slattery with Leslie Verinder, who is an avid collector and works in a Bond Street silk shop. Ensuring fair play and providing the expert knowledge is Eric Knowles. The scoring's very simple. A maximum of 3 points for each object and the rest at the discretion of your chairman. That's me and Mr. Knowles. So let's get on with the first round and let's have that first object. Alan, please. The first object to Tony. And no, I mean, you don't have to be a genius to say what that is.
Why? Is it kind of cigarette case, is it, or something else? How do you get that open? It's like a...
Carefully, cigarette.
Says inside, RAF on the occasion of the United Services broadcast. 1940, April 11th, 1940. And there's an...
Silver.
It's silver, yes. And there's an autograph inside saying Leslie...
Howard.
Oh, Leslie Howard.
Ah.
Ah, so we're talking theatre, somehow.
It's
something belonging to Leslie Howard. What do you think?
It's silver cigarette case. I can't quite read the hallmark. London, I think. But I think the value of this is probably the Leslie Howard rather than the silver cigarette case.
And the time would be around about what?
Exactly, April 1940.
Ah! Ask us to the question, you get it.
No, that's the nearest I can do.
Right. But the suede pochette is very nice for walking down swinging London with some perfume in it.
Just say, obviously, the value in that, if there be any value at all, is in the autograph of Leslie Howard. OK. And there's another autograph there, too, actually, which you missed out, chaps. There, look. It says David Niven.
Oh.
Does it not?
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Well, it might do. It's very indistinct.
Oh. So there we have it. It's signed by both David Niven and Leslie Howard. So, Eric, what price did you put on it, you say?
I should think £200 or £300 for the novelty value of the signatures.
£200 or £300
for the Leslie Howard and David.
But I was wondering if that were a kind of auction. I mean, you know, David Niven's such a big star. Maybe a bit more.
Oh, let's see, Eric.
So what price are you going to go for?
Per autograph.
500.
Go for 500.
500.
Okay.
£500.
Okay. Well, absolutely right. That's what makes this special. The exact date, by the way, the hallmark on there, which is for Birmingham, is for Birmingham 1939. But to all intents and purposes, a cigarette case like this wouldn't be of any great value. This, in actual fact, I know the gentleman who owns it, and he was the original owner who got David Niven and Leslie Howard to sign it. And they, at the time, were making a film called The First of the Few, which I think I'm right in saying was all in connection with the Battle of Britain or whatever. Right. So you're absolutely right on, obviously, the date. We can't really fault you for that, can you, because we told you. But when it comes to value, well, the figure I've got written down here is £500.
Exactly right. Well done. Just on the point there, I mean, anybody could write those signatures in there, so how can you authenticate them?
Well, simply because I know the man who owns it, and so he was the chap that actually got it signed.
But you need that kind of provenance.
You need that sort of provenance, or else, you know, you can argue till you're blue in the face and somebody might offer you £80 for it, or £100 if you're lucky.
OK. So maximum points then for Tony and Leslie. Let's see how Leslie and Paul get on. Alan, please, let's have the next object. Looks an interesting little thing, this.
Wow.
No, Leslie, what do you reckon?
Now, let me see. Well, it's absolutely beautiful and very, very old, and it looks very, very fragile, so we'll be very careful with this. Oh, I don't know whether you can see that. It's absolutely beautiful. It's obviously some sort of sewing kit, or it must be, because it's... Can you just hold the...
Sure, I have the lid.
There's the little place here, yes. It's got... Obviously, this, I think, would probably be to put pins in. And it's silver and beautifully embroidered. I don't know quite what this would be.
Paul, is this in your expert area of knowledge?
No, not at all, really. No.
Well, maybe that would be
I'm
just
looking at it.
inkwell. Maybe it's just something for a lady's dressing table.
I think that it may go above and beyond that. It may be something to do with not only sewing but also surgical, possibly.
Really?
It may have some sort of other uses. Now, these are pretty well for darning and other things, but the bottles are what throw me. I think that...
or might there be what, perfume?
I don't.
Don't know,
I
there's
don't
also some
think
sort
so.
of
Maybe
glass
medicine.
here
Maybe
as
medicine.
well.
Maybe medicine. So I think that it's really the...
All right, so what about a date on it then? What period do you think we're talking about here?
So beautiful. I've got, oh God, I have to give it to you.
Yeah, I would think that it's early Victorian.
Yeah.
Early Victorian. And could you put a price on it?
Now, I don't see any silver hallmark, so unfortunately...
It's very difficult, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't.
Have a guess.
I don't actually think that it's British either. But maybe
Do you
I'm
not?
wrong.
Right.
Right. Okay. So what should we say then?
Value-wise, I don't know, something between £200 and £300.
All right,
Really,
value
is that
300, not British, early Victorian, and an assorted box, which could contain medicines and darning equipment. What is it, Eric?
Well, it is a ladies' nécessaire. In other words, it's a compendium. Everything you would need if you go on your travels from one large country house to another, you take it with you so you're never caught short.
Would there be medicines in the bottom?
Little smelling salts, perfumes.
Oh, right.
In actual fact, the bottles are almost certainly later.
Right.
So the bottles are actually later, and by later I mean Georgian. So we're going back before the Georgian period. You're looking at an object that was made in and around about 1690. So it is quite ancient. But you were right in your suggestion that it was for sewing, etc. The actual fabric itself, it's seen better days, bless it. A bit tired, with this lovely silver thread known as silver galon. The fittings are silver, although they're not actually hallmark, but they are silver. And when it comes to value, it's nearer £1,400, I'm afraid, than it is the three.
We've lost that on that one.
So I think...
So what do you reckon there?
I reckon 1 point there,
1 point.
I think reckon 1
1 point.
We'll do better next time.
3-1 to Tony and Leslie. Let's have the next object, please, Alan, for Tony and Leslie. Let's make of this interesting piece. Now then, what do we reckon, Tony?
Yes, so the first thing would say drinks coasters, but I think it might be a bit vulgar for this programme.
Can you think of a posh word for them?
Coasters.
Coasters?
Very nice coasters. There's something written that's different. Oh, these are roundel coasters. These are roundel coasters. When you have a bit of a do, you would turn them like that and put your drinks on them.
Yes.
And then when you're drunk, you'd turn them back over and sing the song.
Nellie Dean and stuff like that, would you?
Oh, wonderful.
These are roundel
are they different songs or
different
the
songs
same song?
Yeah. They are. There was an old man... Oh, no, I can't remember. Good Lord.
It's a roundel coaster.
They're nice, roundel coasters. So, all right, so what period do you reckon, Leslie? What would you think?
Late 1800s or something?
Late 1800s, early 1900s.
All right.
A price, I don't know. I've never...
Because the wood isn't precious, is it? I mean, it's just... No.
Just, again, novelty value.
But, a price,
a bit wormy as well.
It's a bit wormy. Yes, you're right.
Could it be older than you think, you see? Pass it down that time. What do you think?
Look at the writing.
You're right, it's Egyptian.
That's why I didn't know the song.
Could it be older? Is that a clue?
Yes.
I don't know, suddenly, it might be older.
It suddenly looks older,
do you think? Yes.
But,
I think so.
Are they special symbols around the edge?
We shall all reveal shortly, but quickly a time and a
Well, it's earlier. Okay. What do you think?
Well, can we go back a bit? 1600.
All right, 1600 and a valuation? Given that you've gone back that far now, which will make it more attractive.
2000?
Ah, all right. So, 1600 we go back to.
I didn't give you a chance.
They are...
But Michael was looking at me rather aggressively.
No, not at all.
I'll wait till we hear the price before
So, Eric, there you are. They're rather nice, aren't they? They are these roundels, correctly identified. 1600, they say, and about £2,000.
Well, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what they were for. You would all sing a verse You take it in turns, it'd all be spread around the table, and then one person would sing a verse, and then the next person would get up and they'd sing a verse. Presuming, of course, they all knew the words of the song, but they got the words there. But the giveaway really on the date is there, because you've got a Tudor rose. So you came out with 1,600. We had it down around about sort of 1570, 1580. So you're not very far out, and you're not too far out on the price, because the figure I've got down here is £2,000.
This is
very well done.
Maximum points.
I mean, the mind boggles, doesn't it? Really.
Well, my mind's boggling, certainly. I think I've used up the luck for the rest of my life. I can't.
Very well done. You're 6-1 in the lead at present, but we might get maximum points now, perhaps from Leslie and Paul. Alan, the next object, please, if you will. This is rather lovely, actually. Just something.
It's a tea service.
I think I'll borrow a piece here.
Look. It's British. The lion, yeah?
Yes, it's British. It's Birmingham. Points for that, hopefully, I think.
And there's something written there. I don't know, with Dundee, in fact.
Right. Okay, I can probably tell you a little bit more about this. It's a silver tea set, which we all can see, but it's made by A.E. Jones, which is a Birmingham manufacturer or designer of arts and crafts silverwork. Probably, I'm not as good as Eric is with rattling off the dates on it, but I would put it somewhere around, I don't know, 1900 to 1910.
And what about the value?
Value-wise, as it's silver and as A.E. Jones is quite popular, somewhere probably around 1,500 to 2,000.
Eric, move them down to Eric then. That seems a fairly accurate
I think so too, yes.
Mm-hmm.
A.E. Jones, it's a magic name in turn-of-the-century silver, and we are talking turn-of-the-century, as you say. In fact, you said between 1900 and 1910. Well, the date's 1903. But, you know, there's an object. I see it, and I don't know what it is about it. It just makes me smile. It's one of those, it's just a nice object. And not an easy thing to sort of knock over. Very functional as well. A lot of people are very keen to buy the silver of A.E. Jones, and they would be very happy to buy that for around about £1,800. So, from that point of view, we should give you full marks.
Well done. So, from round 5 coming up, the score is 4 to Leslie Asher's team and 6 to Tony Slattery's team. Not that anybody's counting or cares, really. But round 5 is where Eric gets to grapple with a particularly large, precious piece, lucky man, while our expert bidders merely concentrate their minds on its price. So, Eric, please tell us all.
Well, it's a delightful piece of furniture dating from around about 1800. It is, as you can see, a Pembroke table. But the thing that I love about this is this wonderful flame mahogany. I mean, there's centuries of careful, nurturing, polishing gone into this particular table. And it looks very, very delicate with these very slender legs, the way they taper down here, just to that tiny, tiny little brass caster. And looking at the handles, well, we haven't got absolute full perfection here, because the handles, if I can just pull them through, let's take out a drawer. See them there? Turn them round, and you find that we've got 2 holes at the back. These handles, in actual fact, were probably put on in the reign of about William IV, so we're talking about 1835. The actual border is banded in satin wood, and it's inset within very, very fine boxwood stringing. A delightful table, an object that a lot of people would want to own. The question is, how much would they pay to own it?
Eric, thank you. So that's the question. Leslie and Paul, what do you think?
Well, seeing as it's, as you say, the handles aren't actually the original handles, I suppose that brings the price down slightly. But even so, it's still very old. What do you think, colleague?
I'd go for, again, about £1,500.
About
£1,500, okay. Tony and Leslie?
We think it's a wee bit more. Yeah. A wee bit more expensive because it is very pretty and it's very functional. And I think we go for 2,000.
All right, 1,500 over here, 2,000 here. Well, what is it?
1,500 would buy it.
Really? Very well done. Much needed point to you, Leslie.
Yes, can I just say 2,000 would make the owner happier?
I might take a point off him for impertinence. So that's Tony and Leslie now in the lead just by 1 point, 6 points to 5. Let's have the next object, please. Alan, to Paul and Leslie. And what's this? A tiny wee thing.
It's obviously made of ivory, don't you think?
Yeah, it's Japanese.
Japanese.
And it's
a horse. It's rather beautiful, actually. I don't know whether you can see exactly how much detail is here. It's absolutely beautiful. Is there any dates on it at all? Or if there are, they're in Japanese, and we can't actually...
At least the artist's mark is here. It's called Netsuki.
Oh.
It's it's more than likely Japanese, and these were very much collected by the Japanese. Now this one, sometimes they're used as objects to hold kimonos and things, or garments of clothing.
Mm-hmm.
But this,
is there a legend
to me, doesn't.
Involved? Or is it
I'm not actually. It's not within my area, but I know that it is what's known as Netsuki.
All right, and Japanese. And what period do you think?
I would say either late 18th or early 19th century.
All right, and the price on it? Leslie, do you have an idea of the price?
Do I have an idea of the price? 700.
All right, £700. Eric Knowles, tell us all.
Well, it's a fabulous little netski. Date-wise, it's a good point, actually, without being unkind. The number of times people phone me up and say, I've got a few Netsukis.
Yes,
it's all in the pronunciation.
Because it's spelled that way.
It's and I have to admit, until I made that trek to London, I called them Netsukis for years and years and years. But netski. Either way, it's a little treasure. The carving that has gone into this is quite phenomenal. It really is. The subject is a man called General Gentoku. And you see him here on his trusty steed. And this is an episode from his life when he was besieged in a castle. And the only way out was across a rather steep ravine with a torrent, a river rushing beneath it. And this is how the carver has captured him, fording that stream. The signature on the base is for a carver called Gyokumin Chosai, and he is quite a respected carver, and I would tell you now that you would have to part with £1,200 to buy it.
And the period? What?
Period, about 1890.
1890.
You were right to say possibly late 18th century, because there is a version of this in the Victoria and Albert Museum which is 18th century, but alas, this is 19th century.
So how do we score that then?
I think we score 1 point.
1 point, all right. So the score's on that. 6 each then. So the next object to Tony and Leslie. Alan, please. This is beautiful. I love this.
You can see straight away from the colour it's...
Lalique?
It probably says it's going to say it somewhere.
But a Lalique what?
It's a cow mascot, because I saw it in a book the other day.
Did you?
Yes. I don't know how much it is, but it's lovely.
It's beautiful.
That wouldn't last long in your car today, would it?
Not I live in Stockwell. If I put that on the front of my Mercedes, I think it wouldn't last.
No.
The colour's beautiful. I mean, it's sitting here on blue, and you can see all sorts of shades inside. It really is wonderful. I don't know, she probably has a name the same way as the Spirit of Ecstasy has a name.
Yes. Mildred.
Mildred.
It is beautiful, and it's my goodness, that car was going fast, isn't it? Look at that. Look at that.
You'd like to own that, would you, Tony?
Yes, you
bet. It's beautiful, isn't it? Yes. So what period are we thinking about? What time? 1930s. And the price?
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
I mean, what
2.5,
3,000.
3,000.
I've seen them up to 5,000 before. Some of the more popular ones.
Do you want to increase your bid?
Between 3 and 10,000.
Roughly.
Give me a price.
4. Should we say 4?
I mean, I'd even go up to 5. I have seen them for sale at so much money. I mean,
5. I'll take your last bid. Let's pass it down then. 5. It is absolutely beautiful. Pass that down to Eric.
Right.
And Eric, Lalique, as you said,
yes,
a car mascot. That's right.
And she does have a. She has a name. It's called. She's called Crisis. But spelled CHRYSIS. And she is rather special, for the simple reason that she's opalescent. Now, Lalique was responsible for producing 29 car mascots, most of which feature in the believe it or not, the 1932 catalogue. This particular one, because it's opalescent, I know of only 6 or maybe 7 others in the world. Consequently, she is going to be worth in the region of £14,000. But it's only money, Tony. It's only money.
How many did they make of those car mascots?
Well, of this particular model, as I say, we only know there are very, very few.
I know that, but
now,
generally speaking.
But they made 29 different versions. But anybody watching who thinks they've got one of these, please remember this is opalescent, because they made an awful lot just in frosted glass. So, you know, before you rush out to book a cruise, look very carefully. But either way, if you've got a frosted one, it's worth about 3,000.
Is it? But everybody gasped at the 14,000. Do they go higher than that?
I think the record price that I've had for a car mascot is about 27,000.
27,000?
27,000.
And what was that? Was a Lalique again?
That was a Lalique car mascot. That was when the market was at its height about 7 years ago. The Japanese arrived with it and threw this wall of money into the Lalique market, and things just went crazy.
Eric, can I ask you something? Just to recap, you did say that the frosted ones cost 3,000-ish.
Yes.
Which I believe was the first figure I said, Michael. Just wanted to say.
Yes, you did. Yes. You were on the right. You were on the right track, Tony. Yeah.
I think he wants to win this contest. You know, I really do.
He's so competitive.
Absolutely. Yes. But that's lovely. That's the thing in today's show that I most would like to possess. But so scoring, I mean, they got the Lalique, obviously.
I think we've got 2 marks there.
2 marks. Yeah. All right. Well done. So that makes the score 8 to Tony's team and 6 to Leslie's team. Now, this is the moment you've all been waiting for, the climax to our show, the moment we reveal our mystery object, something weird and wonderful which Mr. Knowles has chosen to baffle and confound us all. Eric, what have you got?
well, here it is. It's made of cast iron, that I'm going to tell you. Shall I pass it down? You can all have a quick...
Yes. The first, this one, we want you to try and tell us what it is, and then later on we'll have a guess at the price of it. So, Leslie, what do you think it is?
Yeah, so obviously it's got 4 holes in each side. I don't know whether you can see that. So it obviously was screwed down onto something.
Mm-hmm.
It's got something written in there. I don't know if you can see. No, maybe not. Maybe it's just some little marks.
Not much of a clue, though.
Oh, wow.
What might it be? All right, screwed down.
It obviously was some sort of...
suppressive of some sort?
Well, I don't know if it... Cigarettes? Oh, I don't know. Why would you want to press a cigarette like that?
Let's move it down.
Move it down. I don't really...
There we are. Oh, what do you reckon is Leslie and Tony?
Well, at first we thought it might be something sort of chemist shop, like a suppository maker or something. But it hasn't.
Did we think that? I just...
Yes, you did. You did. But it's for making something the shape of a rhombus shape.
The only thing that occurred to me, and I have no idea, is that a lot of people think when they have iron things like that, it's a very aggressive bang movement. But cast iron is actually quite brittle, isn't it? So I was thinking it had to be something sort of soft or something.
Is it for shaping something in corks? Is it corks?
You're absolutely right.
Is
It
it?
is.
Oh, very well
You're
done.
absolutely right.
So we have that. Then it's a cork shaper. Is that?
Here's one I made. Here's one I made earlier.
Oh, yes.
The idea is very simple. That you would roughly carve the cork into that shape, and then you would take this and you would press it down.
Right.
And while it was compressed, in a chemist shop, you would then take your cork or whatever and get it into the bottle quick before it slowly expanded. So absolutely right. I think we can only give full marks all round here.
Oh, it's getting boring, isn't it? Getting boring. But what we do need before we go is a guess at the price from the two of them. So, Mastermind, over here on our right, the price. Go on, have a guess.
I can't think of what you'd do with one if you had it now, but I mean,
cool.
it's bound to be rare, but 150, 200 pounds?
Maybe I don't know, a bit more, maybe like 4 or 5, I'd say.
£500.
Yeah, 4 or 5. I mean, there's more than
150 £450. We'll go between them, all right? What do we reckon, Leslie?
I would think £100.
£100.
£100. Yeah, you'd be wise to go 100 because I've got £80 written down.
Yeah, so I was even going to go less on it.
All right.
My price is on that.
Well, there we are then. So that's a very convincing win for you today, young Mr. Slattery, by 11 points to 7. Very well done indeed. Our thanks to Eric, of course, and to the two teams for all their nous and knowledge. Join us again tomorrow at the same time when we'll be going for a song. Until then, goodbye.
BBC Headline.